Big g'day and welcome to another edition of RDFNL TV. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. We are getting ready to talk up Woodend Hesket Football Netball Club and all their exciting developments on and off the field. Tara, it's looking to be a pretty good year at the Hawks in 2019, especially with the changes to their change rooms, which we know have been demolished in recent times, and some great things heading forward with their football and netball programs.
Some heaters for fans would be good as well.
Yeah, they will get that. Let's ensure that happens there. Look, it's one of the coldest places on earth, isn't it, to watch footy netball?
I joke that it is the coldest place on earth. I do say that. One weekend I went to the snow and it was warmer at the snow than it was at Woodend the following week. But no, definitely a lot of positive things happening up there for Woodend on the field and off field, and that's what you sort of want. And this sort of scene they've been built in the last couple of years, and they're not quite there. Whether next season is when they can take the next step will be pretty exciting.
I think with their football department, which is looking absolutely outstanding, Paul Podbury, who was a premiership player at the Hawks, he has taken over as president, and he's really excited about all the things that are sort of coming forward, which is great. But their senior football will again be led by the Tommy Carlin again, which is pretty exciting. They've got some great players who have most importantly put pen to paper. I can't see the club taking backward steps.
Look, they've probably only lost one player, and they're not 100% sure, and that's Charlie Matheson. He could be playing down at Geelong, but it just depends on a few things. And if he goes, he's got their blessing, because he is going to one of the best comps, if not the best comp in the state. So that's probably about the only out. They do have some ins, which I can't announce at this time, but hopefully by the time we've filmed this, will be a Star Weekly article with a few of their ins. But they have got a few players with EDFL experience coming back, and a couple of former players as well. So they've looked to add to the side. They probably will be a little bit different side to what they've had last time. And look, the aim is for them, they were the fittest side earlier in the season, they probably will be, but for now they can focus on that game plan, because last season Tom Carlin didn't start pre-season. He didn't make pre-season until after Christmas due to work commitments in his previous location. So he's been on the track at day one, and he said it's going to give him a bit more time to work with his game plan and what he wants to put on. So that's probably going to be the difference for them. They're going to have a little bit of a different spin on their game plan, and they're going to have the whole pre-season to work under Tom, not just half a pre-season.
It works to advantage that he's also moved to the area too in 2018 as well. So he's absolutely invested, but he's been an incredible breath of fresh air to that club, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. It's been really positive. He's brought players with him who he has played with at higher levels, but then he's out and about. He's always
he lives and breathes the game. Let's be honest.
He lives and breathes the games. Yeah, I was speaking to him recently, and he said he had a year where he didn't play football, and he just went and watched football at all the different leagues across the state. I've seen him a few times. I work at the MCG, and I've seen him a few times down there in the MCC members as well, even supporting his clubs that aren't his own. So he loves his football, and it's been really good for that club up there. You've got a lot of excitement across the board. We've seen their 19s have been strong for a number of years, so a lot of them have come through into that senior side as well. So it's been pretty exciting.
Great that Dan Tone's going around again, and his brother Ben is going around again as well. Just to have the commitment of some of those players is absolutely fantastic. Tommy Gawthrop, look, I mean, it's just some big names that have been young Hawks for so long, and playing some exceptional football and making a big name for themselves in the comp.
It is, and you mentioned they've got Hawk TV, and up there I think Towie won the 3K time trial according to that video.
Yeah, that's true.
So I started there on the track. So we've got a new footy show to promote as well.
Yeah,
so not
absolutely.
just Shark TV, but now we've got the Hawk TV as well down there. So it's all pretty exciting. They've signed that core group, and now they're just adding a little bit more talent to it to hopefully take that next step. They only just missed out on finals, so they did drop a couple of matches they probably shouldn't have. They win them, they play finals.
Absolutely, and their netball department is shaping up beautifully.
It is. Look, I spoke to Kelly Duff a couple of weeks ago, and she's excited by what's happening. They're going to keep most of their group together. Probably the one they won't have is Sarah Duff, and that's only through injury. They might get her towards the back half of the season, but she did her ACL, and she was the league netball rising star, so she is a big loss, but they did play half a season without her anyway. If they can get her back the back half of the season, that's a massive boost for them. Otherwise, they've basically kept majority of their list. They are having trials in the next couple of weeks, so you do have to register by November 16, so this might come out after that, so it might be too late, but now they're excited by what they're doing. You've obviously got their 19s made a grand final, so that was massive for the club in itself, and their A-grade side showed signs they'd never shown before, and probably the big key for them will be a lot of their under 19, a lot of their players who played 19s and A-grade will only play A-grade. And that's where they sort of found they were struggling for fitness, and they were running out of legs come half-time, three-quarter time in the A-grade game, the longer quarters, and a lot of those girls, especially the mid-quarters, have played 6, 7 quarters already, and they run out of legs. And that could be the difference for them this year, that if they're only playing one game, they're going to be fresher and hopefully be able to run out those matches against some of the more experienced sides.
And that's the key thing, though. The competition is incredibly strong in its own right. So to have these young players basically run out of steam in those games, it'll be better for them next year. The fitness would be great for them, but to only have that focus is fantastic. And we look at players like Tara Burnip, who's a rising star in her own right. Imagine what she'd be like with a year of A-grade netball under her belt in that situation there, and she could become one of the prime young shooters in the comp.
It is. She is probably one of the prime young shooters, but you've also got someone like a Brittany Bowen who finished runner-up in the under-19 Best and Fairest.
She's an absolute gun.
She's a gun, and she's played A-grade the last couple of years. So imagine her having four quarters just in A-grade, not having played 4 quarters in under-19s as well. So you've got her, Sarah Duff, who unfortunately will be out, but she's an absolute gun. So they've got a lot of young talent. I think hopefully they're hoping to add a few more, and they said there's been a bit of interest in their trials as well. So it's on the up and up for that side, and they're an exciting young team.
It's still the same coach as well from 2018 with Wendy going around
Wendy is going around. They have had a few changes. Anna Louise, who did coach the 19s, Anne Louise, and I'm not 100% sure, did coach the 19s. She stepped up to C, and Kelly Duff is taking on the under-19. So a few minor changes there, but Wendy is still coaching the side, and she's worked with them the last 2 years and done massive inroads with that side.
Absolutely. Well, it certainly has been a fantastic preparation for the Hawks, and I'll talk out of school here, but we've been filming these shows in alphabetical order, so I do find that we've shot this in just the final few days before we've finished up, and before I've had the pleasure of finishing up, and I find it really exciting to having finished on the Hawks, which I obviously grew up playing with and grew up loving, so I'm pretty excited about that. And Tara, I do want to say a big thank you for all the great work you've done for me over the last few years, and no doubt, hopefully, everyone's got as much as they can out of it, and enjoyed your exposure and enjoyed the work you've been able to do throughout the community.
Thanks, and fingers crossed I still might be on a few footy and netball shows next season, but we'll wait and see. If not, you can always read all my stuff at Star Weeklies.
Oh, amazing. Some of the best stuff going around, I reckon.
That's right, and there's a bit of news coming out. Obviously, we've got a few stories. We spoke about these clubs. There's stories on Woodend coming. Melton Centrals is another one, and a few other clubs obviously I haven't touched on will be in the news the next few weeks.
I know, well, from a distance, it's exactly where I'll be jumping on board, the starweekly.com.au with the Sunbury Macedon Rangers section and the Melton and Moorabool section. I'm really looking forward to getting that. Can't wait to read these stories on the Hawks. I'm pretty excited. I don't have my Hawks jump underneath, but I do in spirit. Tara, thanks so much for your great work, and thanks to everyone for all their tremendous work and support over the last few years. It's been absolutely fantastic, and look forward to seeing how all the clubs go around, particularly the mighty Hawks in the RDFNL in 2019.